Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back down here in Porchville. How you doing? PorchvillePod.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can find us on all those spots. Make sure you subscribe to us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Send porch mail at PorchvillePod.com. Any inquiries you might have. If you ever want to come on the show, drop me a line. Tell me your story. I'm interested. That's what you guys did.
Oh my God, yes.
That's how you're here.
That's why I'm racking around too, babe.
The second time in Porchville. Delicate Flower.
Yes, hello.
Edith Meowt.
Hello. This is my first time here.
First time here. Purple Nightshade Productions. Ladies, it's a pleasure to have you back. How are you?
Oh my God, so good. I'm like whiskey.
Is that's the spirits of the apocalypse, Walking Dead.
I mean, it's gonna make me the Walking Dead. Okay,
it's some delicious stuff.
Drink any more of this, it's gonna be a whole nother podcast. I'm very excited to be back with you guys. The first time around was so much fun with you and Freddie, and just talking about what we do.
Freddie was a blast. I'm missing him.
And you remember that I told you about my burlesque or my burlesque wife?
I do.
This is she.
Hello. Hello.
She has been my closest friend for 4 years, 5 years. I don't know. It's been forever. And she knows all the fucking dirt.
All of it?
All of it.
Oh,
there's so much
shit.
dirt.
Drink up. What are you drinking there?
Oh, I have the apple pie.
Oh, apple pie rum. Okay.
Yeah.
How is it?
It's aight.
All right.
It's aight.
Don't be afraid to pour it out if you need to. It's okay. I will not be offended.
It's been a minute since I had straight up just rum,
like
without 100 mixers in there, because clubs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
we're gonna be sipping.
I'm gonna be sipping.
That's all right. So Edith, how did you find your way into the world of burlesque?
Well, it was a very interesting chain of events.
She came out of a clamshell.
All right.
I did.
From the ocean.
I was born as the Venus. And
I'm with it.
So I actually had gotten started in acting when I was about 16, 17-ish. I got involved in the Tampa Bay Renaissance Festival as an improv actor. And I wanted to keep hanging out with people when the season was over, and most of them did the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Right.
And so I ended up following them to Rocky. Did that for just shy of 10 years with a little break for college at one point. And then when I came back from college, my friend started doing burlesque acts as a sort of pre-show to Rocky Horror, where it would be just like a little skit or just like a song and dance number, and just kind of get the crowd revved up for the show.
Right.
And I got sucked into that. I choreographed some things before I finally hopped on stage, I want to say 5.5 years ago, almost exactly, and has not stopped.
How nerve-wracking was it getting on stage for the first time?
Oh my God. I think the first time I think I just kept telling myself, I'm gonna throw up, I'm gonna throw up, I'm gonna throw up, and that was sort of my mantra to not throw up. And then after the first one, it was almost like a high. It was sort of like I got off stage and was like, I did that.
Yeah.
I did it. Oh my God.
Yeah. You're chasing that reaction. You want to get that reaction again. It's amazing. It really is.
It is amazing.
It is.
And she has taught me so much about the business and the way to present yourself on stage, in addition to Jenny Castle, what I talked about last episode.
Yeah.
And we're actually family.
Family.
Like I said before, burlesque has families, just like drag has families. She is technically my sibling. Jenny Castle kind of adopted her as a burlesque daughter last year. Because she does some fucked up silly shit that I just kind of look at the both of them and go, guys, really? Okay.
What are we talking about? What's crazy? What are we talking about? Lay it on me.
Okay.
Lasagna.
We could talk about my lasagna.
Lasagna.
Act.
Okay.
So,
pull that mic just a little closer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
Shark head.
Oh yeah. So I've been called the ass smash of Gainesville.
I'm sorry. The ass smash of Gainesville?
The ass smash of Gainesville.
Ass smash
because
of Gainesville. Okay, there's a story I can tell.
Well, I have more than one act where I sit in something that normally butts don't go into.
Okay.
Such as, I'm going to have like a going list here.
Yes.
A dish of butter, pumpkin pie, and lasagna. I have sat in
Why
that.
do I feel like I'm blushing?
Let me tell you something. She
lasagna.
First of all,
Lasagna.
the ass smash of Gainesville, I think it actually came from me.
I think it did.
Yeah, and because she is known not only for her high energy and beauty, as you can see over here, but her ass is literally the Death Star. Like, it is its own planet. People come from miles around to watch it do anything. Like, it's it
has its own gravitational pull.
It literally does. Like, it doesn't matter if it's girls, doesn't matter if it's guys, doesn't matter if it's gays, doesn't matter. They just mesmerize.
I gotta
mesmerize.
I
by the
gotta wonder
ass.
though. How do you? At what point do you wake up and you know what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna sit in a lasagna.
This one could tell you that we've been on so many road trips where we're just in dead silence, and out of nowhere I'll be like, "Hey, so what if I did this?" And you're just like, oh, God.
I think she waits for that reaction.
I really do.
She
You know,
waits for
That's
me to
when
be
you know you
like,
got her.
Why am I friends with you?
That's when you know
Why?
you got something.
It's so weird because she'll do some of the grossest shit on stage, and not gross as in stick her butt and stuff, but when it comes to horror, for Purple Nightshade, Edith is one of what we call our headliners, because every time we book her, people just come and throw money like it's nobody's business. We have about 3 of those folks. And Edith will do things like pull a knife out and stab things, or put blood all over her tits, or like do something completely creepy, weird, what the hell, and I'll be like, yay, in the back. And then we'll be on the road trip. She's like, my ass in lasagna. And I'm like, why? It is the weirdest transition. Like, I don't care.
Be very diverse.
I mean, she is a spooky bitch like I am, but on occasion, you know, the hot dog costume will come out, or the shark head costume will come out, and I'll just stare at it and just go, ugh, okay.
You love me.
I know. I do love her, but I'm just like, Jesus Christ. And people, it's really funny. People have different reactions to those routines.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, the routine she sticks her butt in lasagna is a Garfield routine, the comic book cat.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yes, it makes.
I'm a fan.
People make total sense.
Now,
Lasagna comes out. People are just like, oh my God. And she does that. And I've seen it a few times. I'm just like, okay, that's going to be a lot of cleaning up after we're done. But people's reaction at first are like, is she going to, oh my God. Like, they just freak out in such a positive way.
Yeah.
To her putting her butt in things that the money just throw on the stage. I like literally just like, yes, please do more of this shit right here. So it's really funny to be friends with somebody who is so diverse and so creative.
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to her in one mode. Occasionally she'll try to slip in like, you know, lasagna type acts to my shit, and I'm like, don't you dare.
I've tried so many times.
Don't do that shit. There's one show where you get to do that shit. Otherwise, you are booked to be ooky, and that's it. Like, come out here and be ooky and beautiful, which she does. But on the In the Zone show, she did a routine that was Twilight Zone inspired.
Yeah.
And the In the Zone show, the Twilight Zone theme show, was more open to silliness. I usually try to have one show that's a little kind of off the beaten path. It's not like so hardcore, you know, blood and guts. And because it does allow for different performers to have access to us, as well as, you know, our audience. You know, there's only so many times you could rip hearts out, and they're just like, okay. So, whatever.
You're right, though. I mean,
just like so many times. Okay,
I can only take it so much.
Oh, look, it's a big knife. Okay.
That's why I never caught on with the Saw movies. It was like, all right, once you've seen one.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Friday the 13th, same premise.
I mean,
each movie.
Let me tell you, we can watch Jason cut up co-eds all day.
It's different
bring
though.
That shit over here.
It's different. I'll take that. Same thing, same story, but I'll take that over the Saw movies that are pretty much the same thing. It's weird.
We could argue about that, but the point is this: is that in the one show a year that she likes to be a part of, she's like, I get to be silly, and I'm like, all right, Sharkhead, go, or Lasagna, go, or in this case, Mr. Potato Head, aliens being hit with her tits. Like, okay,
I did attack aliens with my tits.
It was.
You have my attention.
So my Twilight Zone act was based off of the Twilight Zone episode called The Invaders, which for those who are not in the know or know that off the top of their heads, that's the one where there's like this woman, she's alone in a shack, and all of a sudden she's being attacked by like these little robotic men, and she's just like, they're zapping her, they're stabbing her, she beats the snot out of them, and then she goes up to the roof where their little spaceship is, and it's revealed that they're actually from the U.S. Air Force.
Of course.
So, and then they're like, we're on a planet of giant people. Like, don't come here. We're all dying. And then that's the end. So I basically was like, I'm going to be like the planet of a giant stripper. And so they come and they attack me. And every time they grab onto me, I take off that piece of clothing and I like attack them back with it. And then at the end, I have the spaceship and I just twirl my tassels until they are broken.
I just stood at the screen and it's really funny. I was watching this show and we had a chat group going with some of the performers watching it live, and they couldn't see me, but I literally just put my hand on my forehead like, oh my God. And I think Caleb was like, how's the show going? I'm like, Edith is beating up aliens with her tits. He's like, so well. Okay. Moving along. The wife is being the wife. Okay.
As scheduled.
Yeah, pretty much. He has, a long time ago, Freddie has learned to respect this relationship. He tells other burlesque spouse the same thing. He's like, don't get in between that. Don't ever try, because you will lose. Yeah. Harshly.
See, we know our place.
Yeah, he just I'm just going to go over here and pick up entrails and take money and whatever. I'm just not going to deal with that. But yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic to watch her create things that are spooky, scary, but also silly. But the one thing I want to bring up, which I brought up in the chat that night for In the Zone, was after her act was done, my phone was buzzing because all the tips for the show were coming to one place, and that was my Cash App and my Venmo and my PayPal for Purple Nightshade.
Right.
Because it was just easier to collect all the money in one spot and then go, divide. Her act was done, and my Cash App buzzed, and somebody dropped $100 after her act. It was like, this is for this. And I screamed that in the chat. I said, Jesus Christ. I know, right? Brush your shoulders off. I was like, Jesus Christ, Edith just pulled in $100 for her act, and the rest of the people in the chat were like, excuse I? Like, what?
What does an average night look like?
In terms of money?
Yeah.
Depends on...
I mean, just average. Not when Edith's up there. Just average.
Just average? I mean... If it depending on theme and the amount of performers, right? Because I do 5 people shows and I do 10 people shows, just depends. We try to shoot for about $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 per show, because that gets everybody what we call the Florida minimum, right? For performing. That's awesome. If you do 2 acts, then that goes up. And if you do a specialty act like fire or needles or bed of nails or anything like this, that goes up. And for example, she's performing in the show on October 30th at the Hardback, Devil Night Dreams. Y'all need to come see it. But she's also doing tech, which she gets a double paycheck because she's handling the tech through Check Me Out, and she's performing as Edith, which is fine. Like, financially I can handle that. It's just... it's really funny when people, because some folks believe, and this is where we're going to get potty positive. Okay, you ready for this?
Oh yeah.
Body positive. Some people believe that fat bodies should not be naked on stage in front of people because that's gross, or that's weird, or that's bad. And what I usually tell people is, like, you see this gorgeous person on the stage, and when she's performing, like, you see her, she pulls in so much goddamn money to my shows, and all she has to do is get up there and exist. Yeah. You all don't understand how much. First of all, do not dismiss the fact that fat people have money.
Yeah. And also don't dismiss that fat people still fuck.
Yeah. Like, the ass and everything else that comes with it is, what they love. And it's, I tell people that, and they just kind of stare at me, and I said, I'm not defending her because she's my friend. I'm defending her ability to make a profit for my fucking company. Yeah. Okay? So before you get all, burlesque needs to look like whatever the fuck, like 150 pounds, double D boobs, flat stomach and white. Like, before you start doing that shit, I want you to take a look at my profit margin for my shows, and I have a bunch of different performers who all look different, who all come from different backgrounds, doing all kinds of creepy, weird shit, and we make money. So,
I think that's part of what draws a lot of people towards burlesque, though. It seems to be a growing thing.
If it's done in the way that pays attention to the audience it serves, then yes. because everybody thinks the audiences that watch burlesque, not everybody, most audience members, let me couch this.
Yeah.
Most audience members believe that audiences for burlesque only want to see Dita Von Teese, only want to see the damn Cher and Christina movie. Like that's what those kind of body shapes, not the movie, please, but all those body shapes are the ones they want to see because that's the fantasy girl or the fantasy boy or the whatever. And one of my mantras for horror is that horror doesn't portray that shit.
Right.
Like if you really watch horror movies, the people are fans of the villains. And the villains aren't 150-pound double D, skinny white girls. Like those are the ones getting hacked up. Like they're, Jason and Freddy and fucking Saw and like no. So my stages will always attempt to try and showcase a wide variety of body types and backgrounds and age ranges and races, and like I really try to cultivate a mix of stuff.
Yeah, it's just real.
Because the audience is not one type. Why should I have one type on the stage?
Exactly.
And any venue owner that fights me on that, which I have very rarely have fights.
Yeah.
Any venue owner who's like, no, that's not going to sell, and I'm like, watch me, bitch. Give me one show to change your mind.
That's crazy that you even have people that would really push on that at all.
You'd be surprised in the state of Florida.
Really? Florida. Let me tell you, I'm going to say this on this podcast, and I'm probably going to get so canceled. Florida does not like fat people.
What?
It doesn't.
In entertainment. They don't like it. Unless you're being funny, and then you can have your 20 minutes of funny and then sit the fuck down and let the real entertainers get on the stage.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it pisses me the fuck off.
It happens in not just burlesque, like also in drag and other kinds of art forms. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it firsthand. We have a performer friend, Izzy Aman, who's a drag performer, and he is also a plus size person.
I fucking love Izzy.
Izzy Aman is amazing. If you think I'm weird based off what she's telling me, Izzy literally almost made me throw up the first time.
Yes.
And I thanked him for almost making me throw up the first time I saw him.
How did he almost make you throw up?
He was doing an act based off. We were at a show that was John Waters themed.
Okay.
And he did an act based off of Divine and Pink Flamingos.
Yes.
And it was the scene where Divine is eating dog shit. And
I'm not familiar with that scene.
okay. Well, when you get a chance, look that scene up or watch that movie.
Yeah.
It's John Waters at his finest. And my brain could not disconnect that they were not actually eating poop because of the way that it looked. Like they had it just and they acted like exactly like the scene. And we're sitting in the audience and she sees me with my head between my knees and I'm just like, oh God, I can't look. And I'm just like, I'm literally going to throw up. And I was stone sober. I was just like, I can't disconnect my brain. And then after the end of the show, I walked up to Izzy and was like, hey, your act made me almost vomit. And they were like, thank you.
That's a tribute to the art right there.
Right.
That, 100%.
Izzy's amazing. Does amazing things. I love hiring them. They're also a horror queen. So they will, like the last show I had them in, they created a dress with compartments in it that had human organs. So like at their chest they had a box with a heart in it, and over on the side they had one with a liver in it, and they had intestines. Oh, wow. And it was this whole thing about love ripping them apart, and so they would open the compartments and take out the organs and shred them on stage, and it was lovely to watch. For me it was like yes, but they love doing things that make people put their heads between their legs and go, dear God, I'm gonna die, and they're just like, oh, thank you so much. The kindest, shyest person like you want to meet in person, but once you get to know them, he just is a joy to work with, is a joy backstage. The burlesque community in Jacksonville and Gainesville have just embraced him as a performer, and that's been wonderful to watch. So, but Izzy's also a very large person, like body-wise, and so everyone who sees that is like, how does that work? And I'm like, very well, fucking well, actually. Like, they come and do weird shit, and everyone thinks it's amazing. Like, I don't even know.
Why do you think people are dicks about it? What's wrong with them?
Because people... I got this quote from a movie once, and I'm going to mess it up, but people are unruly, uneducated jackasses. But person by person, they're not. if that makes any sense. Like people as a
Right.
collective
The
are
masses.
just the masses are just morons
Yeah.
about certain things.
Yeah.
But one-on-one or individually, they're
Tends to go a lot easier.
yeah, they're like,
when you're able to
okay,
really
like
talk
I get it,
things out.
yeah. And so I always tell everybody that gets to talk and meet Edith that, you know, I love her to death. I really do. And I, as a person, in addition to just her being a great performer, I will lay on the road for her. But anybody who says anything about her in my presence gets an earful.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you don't get to talk about her like that in front of me.
Yeah.
Nah. You can just change how's the weather. Like, how about them Dodgers? Like, I just started changing the conversation. I said, we are not going to agree on this. She's amazing. You don't like it, don't watch it.
Wow.
Like, go get a drink at the fucking bar. Okay? Like, leave me alone. And
You're a good ally.
I can be. I'm not perfect. I'm always learning. I'm not going to say,
Are we all?
fucking forever. But yeah, I mean, it's great to be friends with somebody who is so smart about things and has taught me a lot about performing and being a better human and, you know, trying my hardest to be the best, you know, fucking creepster I could be. I will say this on the air, and she and I have already talked about this a long time ago. If I ever leave Purple Nightshade, if I ever walk away from Purple Nightshade for whatever reason, and Purple Nightshade is still successful, other than Freddie, the only other person I'd lay the hands to is her.
Yeah.
Because she would know exactly how to keep it going in a direction that it'd be smart for the company. But yeah, I'm not going to turn this entire podcast into a love letter to my best friend.
No,
but
please keep singing my praises.
like, let's just talk more about Edith. It's
been so long.
Oh my god. But yeah, so it's going to be fun. Like, she's going to do a great. I still don't know what the hell you're doing for the show October 30th.
Now when is the next show?
October 30th. It's a Friday. It's the Friday, the weekend of Halloween. So
It's on Devil's Night.
it's on Devil's Night. Traditionally, October 30th is Devil's Night.
That was some serious shit where I come from.
Devil's Night
Up
is
in,
no
Michigan.
joke, and we have a gaggle of gag-worthy performers who are going to throw down and do fucking creepy, weird shit. I'm so excited. My nipples are hard. Like, I'm so fucking excited for this. Don't choke. You forget, we're professional naked people,
That's all
so
right.
occasionally we are going to say things like nipple. So.
I don't mind. I don't offend easily.
Yeah, so it's going to
okay.
be Friday, October 30th at Hardback Cafe here in Gainesville. It will be a live show as well as a live stream show. So the Hardback has been very good to us over the years here in Gainesville as a part of the burlesque community in general, even before, you know, pandemic times. What they have done is they have created an outside viewing porch that can seat up to 20 people safely with masks and temp checks and things. And what they do is they have a screen on the outside on the porch, so it's like a drive-in movie. You like chill with your drink and you watch the show that's happening inside live. That way there is a separation between the performers and the audience to keep everybody as safe as we can.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And there's also a way for them to get drinks without coming into the bar.
Yeah.
So, and as well as go to the bathroom without coming in contact with us. So Alan has developed that to encourage, you know, bands and artists and burlesques and whatever to come back to the Hardback and, you know, generate some income. And because he's been so good to us as a community, we try very hard to be good to him by bringing shows to him. So that's how that's going to work at the actual event. If you get a live ticket, that's what happens at the venue. You have to come with a mask, you get a temp check, and if you're cool, then you sit outside. It's going to be a beautiful night like this. It's going to be nice and balmy.
These are the best nights for Porchville.
Well, it's not raining. Last time I was here, it was like downpour storm, and like today night is nice and balmy. It's because I brought her. But anyway, the point is that it's going to be as safe as we can make it.
Yeah.
And Alan, the owner of the Hardback, has been really great about doing that for us. And plus also, to be quite honest, performers need to hear their audiences. It's very challenging to do this online and never hear the clapping and the screaming.
Yeah.
So the host for our show is the one and only Vita Devoid. And Vita Devoid has been, I think she probably was born in glitter. Like she's been doing.
I don't
burlesque.
know if she was ever born. I think she just exists.
Yeah, I think she
will
just
continue
literally
to exist
walked
until
out of the
time.
mist and
Just
just
always has been.
Just always
did-
has
yeah,
been. Like earth and rock. Just has always existed.
literally. Like Vita is an institution in the state of Florida in terms of burlesque. She's been doing it for a very long time, and she's been in entertainment for a very long time in general. Burlesque is just one of the things that she does.
Yeah.
So she and I have become pretty decent friends over the course of the pandemic, and I've always wanted to work with her. And so the minute October started, I was like, "Hi, could you want to host the show for me online, please?"
Oh, and you didn't add in that she will be broadcasting live from California.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So she's hosting the show live from, like, she's in California hosting. And so she will be on the big screen outside as well as live on Crowdcast. So the live streaming aspect is through Crowdcast, which is a streaming service strictly for streaming events. Like that's what it's designed to do.
Awesome.
And it's been really good to myself and been really good to some of the shows that we've done here in town. And thank God this one learned it fast because she's smart as shit. But Vita will be able to talk to the audience both at the hardback and online, just talk to them, hype them up, like, how y'all doing? And when the audience in Gainesville hears how y'all doing, y'all having a good time, they scream and yell, and the performers who are live inside can hear them through the walls.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's always good for them to hear that they did a good job.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like almost like kids in a way. It's like they want to be clapped and yay, you did
We
so
need
well.
to be praised.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so
I
it's
mean, make no mistake, we don't get into performing for nothing.
No,
it's,
no.
there is that aspect that we do enjoy. Putting on the show and hearing the response from the crowd.
for sure. So
that's
and
a huge
that's
part.
the closest we've come to it in a while, and it's been very rejuvenating for a lot of folks in the community to hear that. So okay, so Vita's going to be our host, and then Edith will be performing. We also have 2 drag queens from the Bohème Coven, who is a local spooky drag family here in town that work out of the University Club. So Jador Lagore will be part of our show, and she is the first daughter of Rachel Bohème, the Queen Supreme, coven mistress they're all spooky queens. Like, think Dracula, basically. Like, they're all creepy, weirdo, freaky queens.
Awesome.
And they're absolutely stunning to look at when they get painted up and do the things. They have a show at the UC called Sinister Sundays, which is basically like goth on crack, horror, drag, crazy. Like, it's a lot of fun. I'm actually going this Sunday, so it's going to be fun because Jador's party is Sunday at the UC. So myself and Freddie are going to go to not only like woohoo Jador, but also promote the show that she's in. Yeah. All right. So she's in it. And then her drag daughter, Devora Ooze, is also in the show. And Devora almost made it up to final 2 of the University Club Drag Race, which is like their version of Drag Race.
Right.
They open it up to new queens who want to come out and do the things. We're trying to encourage Izzy to do it. We're like, do it.
Izzy.
I will totally sponsor Izzy next year if she wants to do it.
Absolutely.
Purple Nightshade helped sponsor Devora this year, and help her like get her looks together and all that kind of stuff because we wanted to support someone local. So she made it top 4.
That's
and
awesome.
it was super awesome, and she's developing so quickly, and it's so fun to watch. So she's going to be
how many people were in the running?
I think it was 9. Was it 9?
I think you're right.
Yeah, it was 9.
Wow.
They usually get 9 or 10 queens.
Wow.
To start off with, and then every week they either save everybody or eliminate or whatever, and it gets to be very tough because everybody has to level up their look and their performance
every week.
Yeah, and Devora did. I mean, during pandemic times, this is just wreaks havoc on the brain, especially the creative brain. So Freddie and I are very pleased that Devora got as far as she did. So she'll be in the show.
Yeah.
So Edith will be in the show. Devora will be in the show. Jador will be on the show. Our other 2 performers. One is my burlesque daughter. I love her. Kara Monoxide from Jacksonville is coming down to do a routine. Kara has been performing for a little less than a year, but she's doing beautifully. Like she's been a haunt actor, a haunt owner. Like she's been in creepy business forever. So
awesome.
This was a very natural shift for her to go from being a haunt actor and a haunt runner, like owner, to doing burlesque as a creepy person. And so she came to me because she knew about Purple Nightshade. She'd seen Edith perform, she'd seen me perform, and she's like, I want to do this, help me. And I was like, cool.
That's
all right.
amazing.
Yeah, so she'll be in the show doing creepy shit.
Yeah.
Beautiful girl. She's got, oh my God.
I was so surprised seeing the size of her tits.
She
Like-
has enough in the
And then
front.
some.
Like, she could feed a third world country. That's how big she is.
Hardback Cafe, you say?
Yes. Hardback Cafe. Kara is a
Friday, October 30th, you say?
Tiggle
Yes.
bitties.
Oh my God.
When she had forwarded
Did you mention
me,
a time specifically?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, you
9
say?
o'clock. It's even early enough for the old people to come out and watch.
she had actually forwarded me a video of her like training Kara, and just kind of like, you know, like Kara would do like a video and send it to her and be like, what do you think? And then she would send notes back. And so she sent me like one of her final, when she was going through like her initial first act. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll watch her. And then as soon as like she turned around, she's wearing like just like a tank top. And I was like, oh my gosh, she is blessed.
Yes, honey.
Blessed in the chest.
Now, I know we talked about, you know, getting up on stage for that first time, but putting an act together and presenting that, like, what does that feel like to hear, to really, because you're really putting yourself out there, you're putting a lot of yourself into your act.
Right.
How does that feel when you
You drink a lot of water.
get up there and
Yeah. we have a running joke that I just come up with ideas just by drinking water.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because like literally I just like listen to things on Spotify or on YouTube or whatever, and I just will get like either a character or just something in my head that connects to the song.
Yeah.
I'm also a huge movie buff, and like I've been my mom raised me with like all the class, like every movie you could think of. She just was always like, okay, well, like
I like your mom.
it actually became a running joke with her that I could tell what movie she was watching just by the soundtrack from across the house.
Ooh.
Yeah. So there are times where I'm like, I'll kind of like look around, just sort of like, are you watching Hocus Pocus? And she's like, how did you know? And I'm like, I could hear it all the way from across the house. Like, it's just so weird that I could pick up on that. So I feel like because of growing up with that, I always have some movie or some TV show that's just somewhere playing on a loop. Like I always joke that there's like a side of my brain where math and science skills should have gone, and instead I just filled it with movie references and characters.
I totally understand.
I was just like,
get it.
Math? Applicable skills to a job? Pfft, no. I'm gonna put like Evil Dead in here, or
Yep.
I'm gonna put, you know,
Yep.
Friday the 13th in here,
Exactly.
or whatever, and just that's where that and animal facts, just for no reason. I'm just like, yeah, this will be useful. Never. So, and so like I'll listen to a playlist, or I'll build a playlist. It's just like, these are some songs that I feel something about, but I can't put my finger on. And I'm one of those people where I do listen to songs to death. Like I will listen, and the minute that it kind of hooks me, I play it again and again and
me
again and
too.
again, and then I'm just
Me
like,
too.
okay, who does this resonate with? And then I usually make some kind of connection. Sometimes they don't have a character, and it's just an Edith moment. It's just like, okay, well, I'm going to be my damn sexy, sultry self to this. Or there are times where, like, honestly, like using Garfield as the example, that was one of the cases where I had an idea before I had a song, and I was just like, I really should do something with lasagna. I really should do. I just knew, and I'm just like, I don't think I've ever heard of an act where someone sits in lasagna before, so I just have to do it.
I mean, because that's what it's all about, is leaving an impression, and those people walking away with a memory.
They will never forget.
No, they'll never forget the time they went to a burlesque show and saw the girl sitting in lasagna.
Exactly.
Never.
I just listen to music. I have a whole Spotify playlist on Spotify. This is Burlesque Ideas, and I just, whenever I hear a song, and literally the stage in my brain lights up, and then I start seeing myself move and what it looks like, then I just immediately earmark the song and put it on the list, and then go home and sketch. Since I come from a theater background, and
So you draw it out.
you've
got to literally physically look at it.
Yes, for me it is the theater process turns on.
Where do we start with the drawing? Is there a set? Is there a costume? Like, what starts first?
Usually it's the movement first, and then it's like, okay, what am I doing to this song? Is there a character I've kind of had the back burner? Is there, because I also have a list of characters I want to do eventually, and or routines I want to kind of play with. For example, one of the characters I really want to play with soon is from Princess and the Frog, the Disney movie. There's very few characters I can actually portray from that movie, since it is mostly a Black American movie set in New Orleans, but the music is just so fucking good.
That movie's so underrated.
It is so fucking good.
It was one of the few I've never seen it. I'll be honest.
Then you must burn in hell for that because
it was probably
so good.
I mean, when did they release that? Because I kind of stopped watching Disney movies somewhere like
I want to say
late 90s.
You need to start again.
Is either 2012 or 2011 because I was in college when it came out.
Yeah,
those were my primetime drinking days. I wasn't watching Disney movies. 21, 22, I was. Yeah, I was.
Let me tell you something.
A lot.
Disney is great recovery if you're hungover.
Yeah.
Just put on the Disney movie, order a pizza, and just sit there and be like, okay, I'm never drinking again, but this movie is amazing. But Princess and the Frog is always held. I've seen it so many times.
Is that your favorite?
No, but it is one of the for Disney. It's one of my favorites.
Which one's your favorite? I know you know it right off the top of your head.
Moana.
Oh,
yeah,
Moana.
Moana. There was one road trip where
I figured you for a classics type. I did.
Listen, is that an old lady comment?
No,
I'm about to come across this table and yank that old man
Not at all.
beard
We
off you.
talked about that last time. No way.
No, actually, no. Some of the classics. I mean, classics is a broad scale definition at this point because some people think Little Mermaid is classic.
I'm thinking like Peter Pan. I love that
the
stuff,
original first brand
from
of
the
classics.
Way back,
Oh yeah, like out of that grouping, I think Sleeping Beauty is my favorite because
Yeah.
Maleficent is my queen.
Right.
And she turns into a fucking dragon,
Which is you.
Yeah, I self-identify as a dragon, pretty much. I have a dragon act even.
She does, and it's hot as hell.
Oh, thank you.
Like pun intended, but also not intended.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's so that's a good one. But Princess and the Frog is a new favorite.
Right.
There is a character from the film who is a firefly, and he speaks with a Creole accent. And I think his name is Ray.
Yes. Ray the Lightning Bug.
Ray the Lightning Bug. And he sings a song called Evangeline because he's in love with a star in the sky and thinks it's a firefly. So he sings this beautiful song to her. And so I was like, you know what? I really love this song, but I also love the opening song, which is Down in New Orleans. The first opening, not the reprise at the end, but the first opening. So I started stitching them together using Audacity, which is a music program that a lot of us use to blend songs. And I started, and I just started to literally see the act come to life. And I thought, okay, this will be the one and only act where I will actually sing. Because I can sing in a male tenor. I'm an alto by trade, so to speak, but I don't really like my singing voice that much. So if I do sing, it's usually male-oriented songs, like male singers, because I just sound better in that register for some reason. I don't know why you would say that, but you know. But the point is this, is that literally, I listened to that music and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. Because to have a Disney-esque or a Disney act in our business is kind of smart. There are some themes that you kind of want to eventually keep in the roster.
Yeah.
Like everybody usually wants to have, everybody in the business who stays in it for a long period of time, and long period of time is like 3 years, 5 years.
If
10
you can
years.
make it over 3 years, then yeah.
I think most performers want to end up doing a Disney act of some kind.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's a princess.
Oh my God, throw up.
Or a villain.
Or a villain. Most of them want to have some kind of what we call nerdlesque act, which I'm sure Phoenix talked about when she was here with Biddle a million years ago. What feels like now it's like post Andre.
Like, it does. It feels like
now
forever.
that Andre's born, we're like, was there a life before this baby?
You know, in pandemic times, I've just been saying we're in a time soup.
Yeah.
Like time is kind of irrelevant. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I came in from work and my grandmother she sees with the time. She goes, "Oh, I guess it's Friday." Like,
yeah, right.
Like she
what?
There's no concept day to day anymore.
If it wasn't for
until she sees me come home early.
My phone calendar is the one that reminds me. It's like, hey, by the way, it's October 16th.
My pill grid. My pill grid. I have a few medications that I'm on, but if it wasn't for that old lady kind of like grid of days of the week, I would not know what day of the week it is. I would even today I was like, ooh, it's Friday. Taking my pills out.
So yeah, it just becomes that. So yeah, so like a Disney act is usually somewhere in the repertoire, some kind of nerdlesque from, Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or Star Trek, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, like something like that's probably in your roster somewhere. Like there's a few areas that most of us have routines in or are developing routines in because those themes usually sell very well to audiences.
Sure.
And so when you see those...
I can imagine doing like a Star Wars night and the turnout of stuff like that.
There's
been a few.
Yeah, there's been a few Star Wars shows.
Yeah.
There is a Star Wars show run by a person named Maven Misbehavin' down in St. Pete and Tampa. And she usually does it around the holiday season in December.
Yeah.
And it kills.
I bet.
Every single time she does it, it's just before it was wall to wall people and
in the before times.
I've done the show once. I've done the show once and it was a lot of fun because I'm a big Star Wars nerd and she knows it. So she was like, "Yo, you want to come down here and be a Star Wars nerd?" I'm like, "Yes." So that show was great and it was fun. Like I have a few Star Wars acts, just a few, because I love the series so much and the characters and there was one character in The Mandalorian I really wanted to do, and then the actress came out as a transphobic idiot. So I was like, damn it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. She started on Twitter with a bunch of transphobic bullshit, and I was like, oh, why would you? Damn it. So, like, I literally, when that stuff happens, when somebody associated with the character comes out and is extremely problematic or just disgusting.
They're kind of that character.
I literally have to just be like, nope, scrap that idea.
It's one of those things that like if you were to have continued with that act after that happened, then somebody would see you on stage and you risk that idea that an audience member is going to be like, oh, this just makes me think of how terrible this person is. And you don't ever want to make someone in the audience feel like that. You never want them to see your character and be like, I'm going to attribute this to something terrible.
And even though you may not or they may know you, there's still that
it doesn't matter.
in their head.
The audience doesn't know you. They just know what you're presenting. For another example is I have a Madame Maxime routine for Harry Potter, the giantess. Like it's this whole thing, and I love the routine. I love the costume. But J.K. Freako is now a big transphobic asshole.
Yeah.
Asshole. I said it again. J.K. Rowling is an asshole.
Yeah, she is.
And so she, as the creator of Harry Potter, has pretty much like taken a shit brush and just painted Harry Potter with it. And I'm just like, why would you fucking?
Yeah.
That's why I think that just write your books, man.
Yeah, just shut up and write your shit.
You're doing great things for the world,
the
and you gave us Harry Potter and that little area down there at Universal Studios. Just leave it at that.
Yeah. So it's hard.
Sell wands.
I still love the universe and I love the characters.
Yeah. But I mean, the magic is still there, regardless of
the very human person behind it. Yeah. It's hard. But yeah, I mean, for me, the process is I hear the song, I picture the character, or maybe I have the idea about the character, and then I go home and I take out the old sketchbook and I start sketching and I start adding color and then start thinking about is there a part of this I have to build? For example, with Ray the Firefly, I need to have a light up booty, so I need to figure out how to have a light up booty on stage.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that can actually be remote controlled because I don't want to like have to go back there and try to turn it on.
And have you figured it out?
No, I figured out the shape and I figured out how I want to sit on my butt.
We can figure it out.
Yeah, and exactly the moment I want it to light up. But I haven't figured quite the rest of it out because, Ray pretty much doesn't wear anything because he's a fucking bug. So it's like, So I have to kind of get a little creative with how I do that.
I got some ideas for you.
If it involves lasagna, fuck you.
No. No, we have technology
if it involves my butt in anything, fuck you right now.
No. Why would I do that?
She's lying. She's lying to me. My wife lies to me.
Let's talk it over some lasagna, though.
Let me tell you something. Just drink your drink. So, yeah, it's I will also say this. The process can be very quick or can be very slow. It kind of sneaks up on you sometimes where you're just like, I don't have any idea for that.
Oh yeah, and like 10 days before the show that the act is due at, it's like, oh my god, I've seen the light.
Yep.
I have less than 10 days to do this because I also have work. crap.
Like I have literally submitted ideas to shows, like, because you can, some directors, producers will allow you to what they call pitch to a show.
Right.
So if you don't have a set act, you can pitch them an idea, and if they like the idea, they'll book you and trust you to, do the things, as long as they know who you are and trust your ability to perform and entertain. And I have pitched acts that I'm just like, this sounds cool, and then I get booked and I'm like, I have a weak phone.
Yeah.
Like, I just literally, I always warn Freddie, I'm like, babe, I'm not going to talk to you for 7 days. He's like, did you book an act? You didn't develop the act yet, did you? I'm like, I love you. He was like, no.
There have been many a time that I have taken a costume piece to work, including when I did my Jar Jar Binks act. I have a Jar Jar mask that I rhinestoned, and I was trying to be...
That is a bold move.
I was very sneaky in trying to rhinestone it, and then anytime someone came in my office, I was like, what? Nope.
I mean, we're talking
here.
about characters that have such a negative connotation.
Ugh.
Jar Jar.
Yes.
I mean, he was pretty hated.
Yes.
So how do you
So I've dabbled in some show producing myself. I don't quite do it. I mean, obviously, even before COVID times, I was kind of taking a step back from producing. But I do have a show that I have done that's called Cult Status Burlesque, and it's all about
it's amazing.
cult films.
It's amazing. It's really, really funny and very, very clever and really well done.
So our first show, we just kind of did kind of classic cult films. Like we had an act that was for The Room. I did Sharknado. There was a performer who did Human Centipede.
that Sharknado thing caught on much better than I thought it was going to. I've got to admit.
And then when we had such a good reaction from it, we were like, okay, we need to do a second show, and the show is going to be themed around sequels, bad sequels, because I mean,
well, luckily they made Sharknado too.
I could have, honestly, I actually had dabbled with the idea of doing that, but I decided to bring back my Evil Dead 2 act.
Oh, yeah.
Where I basically, my hand becomes possessed and starts stripping me.
Now, do you subscribe to the Evil Dead 2 being just a higher budget remake of Evil Dead 1? I've heard a lot of people say that.
I love it in its own way, almost like if there was like a twin sibling to the first one and they were separated at birth. That's kind of the way I think of Evil Dead 2.
I'm an Army of Darkness fan myself.
Oh.
I was for the longest time, but then as I got older and I kept watching Evil Dead 2, I just, more than anything, like as a video production person and also knowing like the behind the scenes, seeing the scene where Bruce Campbell's literally attacking himself, that was all his own stunts. Like he absolutely was like pulling himself with his own hand and like smashing plates in his face, and I'm like,
does he get the credit that he's due? Bruce Campbell.
Let me tell you something. let me tell you a story about Bruce Campbell.
Tell me.
Okay, so one of the things, her birthday is actually coming up pretty close.
Happy birthday.
October 23rd.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, she's a Halloween baby. You want to throw down that Cash App in case people are listening and want to
absolutely
give
throw
you
it
gifts?
down. Throw it down.
Go.
My Venmo is at Edith Meowt. My Cash App, I think, is also Edith Meowt.
Yes, so if you would like to pay a tribute to the Halloween goddess, please feel free to do that because birthdays cost money.
Yes, they do.
So there is a convention usually every year in Orlando or Tampa called Spooky Empire. And Spooky Empire, I told you about it last thing. It was the big horror convention.
Yep.
Okay. So I was stuck for a birthday present. I tried to do something really nice for her birthday. And I happened to go on to Spooky Empire's website and found out that Bruce Campbell was coming to Spooky Empire. And Bruce Campbell for Edith is horror daddy. Like if she could
He
meet,
is daddy.
Yeah, if she could literally meet and just run away with anyone from the horror genre, it would literally be Bruce Campbell.
Absolutely.
So she.
Bruce Campbell now or Bruce Campbell then?
Bruce Campbell
Anytime.
And I had a friend.
I didn't realize that Bruce Campbell was going to be as hot as he was, and he was fucking hot. I was like, I will go home with you. Jesus Christ.
Sorry, Freddie.
I had a friend who was she was telling me, she's like, oh, but I love him with his wife, and I'm like, she could join too. I don't really care. Like, come on, don't let me stop y'all from being married. Just come on. But yeah, so that was my big birthday gift last year.
Need a shot of whiskey for that one. So I noticed that Bruce Campbell was coming to Spooky Empire, and I said, that's it. I'm going to give her Horror Daddy for her birthday. And so I paid for a VIP meet and greet.
Oh my!
And a photo op, and
So
then
you got the face to face with
Didn't tell her until I secured everything, and I was like,
wow.
"By the way, I'm giving you Bruce Campbell for your birthday." And I showed her, and she was like, "Oh
Holy
my
shit.
fucking god!" She cried.
I cried at work when she told me that. I was just like, really?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I was like, "Don't ever doubt I don't fucking love you, bitch." Like ever. So, and it's it's going to be hard to top that. It's like after Bruce Campbell, everything is just bullshit.
Yeah.
So she dressed like Ash from Evil Dead.
I basically wore my burlesque costume, but the outer part of it.
Oh shit!
With the
And,
fucking chainsaw hand and everything. It was amazing. And she got to meet him with the outfit on, and he was so nice.
Wow.
And he signed my chainsaw.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And then
That's like the coolest fucking thing.
It gets better. So
You got to have that thing mounted on a wall or something.
It's going to be soon.
Yeah, we have a mutual friend who works at Spooky Empire as one of the event coordinators, goes by the name of Lady James. And Lady James runs a troupe out of Orlando called Corsets and Cuties. But she also is very tight with the spooky folks. Like, she helps put that together. So she was running Bruce Campbell's Q&A panel, which, of course, is, money, because Bruce Campbell. And so she saw us at the convention and, hi, kissy face, my selfie. She goes, do you guys want to get in and see Bruce? And we're like, yes.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, you're now my children. Like, we literally fell in line between her two kids. I'm just like, okay, thanks, Mom. Just like walked in and sat in Bruce Campbell's Q&A, which was packed.
Oh, yeah.
My God. And he is literally everything you want him to be. He's smart. He's fucking funny and very aware of who he is. He's like, I'm fucking Bruce Campbell. I don't give a fuck. Like, he just is so...
I think he's one of the few guys, though, that can
self-aware
pull
as
that
shit.
off.
He is self-aware as shit on who he is.
But he's
and what
better than, like... I don't know. It's weird because, he's a... I guess he's he's considered the greatest B-movie star of all time.
That's what I mean. Like, he's very aware
but
of who
he's
he
very,
is.
like, A-list because he's so great at who he is.
Let me tell you, there were
weird.
easily 500 motherfuckers in that ballroom. Like,
I'll bet you there's a lot of A-listers that wouldn't get that
waiting
shit.
for Bruce to say anything. Like, he was the star.
Oh, he could have just gone up on that stage and just, like, farted and people would have lost their fucking minds.
They would have been like, yes. And he was very funny about Q&As because, some people would ask questions about stuff that he didn't want to talk about. He's like, I'm not answering that. Next question. Like, he would just be like, no. And the poor, the poor horror nerd is just like, but I stood in line for like 30 minutes. And he's like, I don't care. And people are like, well, but he just, not that he was rude, but he's just very funny.
Yeah.
He's a very funny guy. And it was a lot of fun to just sit there and listen to him just talk about bullshit. Because very few people forget that not only was he, B horror movie actor, but he also did a television show as a spy, a retired CIA spy called Burn Notice. And I watched Burn Notice.
Me and my wife watched every episode of that.
Yeah, and so like the people who would ask him about Burn Notice, he would get happier because people knew he was on Burn Notice. He was just like, yeah.
Do you know I was like this close to working on that show with him?
Oh.
Yeah.
And I would have never met you because
I never would have met you. I would be married to Bruce Campbell right now.
Yes, you would so be married to Bruce Campbell, or you would just be like kept in the Hollywood Hills girlfriend or something.
Well, they filmed it in South Florida.
Yeah.
Okay, then
And
she would be on like Star Island in Miami, just like Bruce isn't home.
I would be the mistress. Thank you.
You would just be, and then you too can tour like Dita because you would have Bruce Campbell money. But yeah, he was a cool guy. It was very cool to have that experience and give that to her for her birthday. I think that's around the time when people thought we were dating because I was doing that kind of shit, and they were like, do you get to sleep with her? And I'm like, yeah, I slept with her. And they're just
We've
like,
shared a bed many a time.
yeah, so I basically tell them like I fucking snore and she puts up with it. Like that's
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You've only ever chased me out of a bed maybe like twice.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think just twice. But yeah, it's really funny because after I did that, they're like, you sure you're not dating? I'm like, listen, I love the girl, but I can't afford that. Look at her. Like,
Eyes expensive.
yeah, I don't make enough to afford the lifestyle that she deserves. So, and that's the joke I usually give people. And
You want to know something? I don't make enough money for the life I deserve.
True that. Shit. Oh my God, we both need raises.
Right?
But yeah, so that's pretty much, the end. But I'm a firm believer in this. If I love, and then she knows this, if I love you, then I do for you.
Yeah.
And I take care of you the best that I can. and pay attention to the things that you like, and you do almost like a romantic relationship, because I believe that, and I find this really true, especially with the horror community, love your friends like you love your partners, because they're the ones who are going to pick up the phone when you're just like, I
Falling
fucking
apart,
can't.
yeah.
I fucking can't stand that motherfucker. And they're just like, listen, why don't we just go get a drink and fuck that shit?
Yeah, you said that to me not that long ago, that you're like, I have to court my friend, because it's like you need to maintain that relationship, even though it's not a romantic one. It's still one that's like, I need to show that this relationship's worth it.
Yeah.
And
if
worth my effort.
This relationship,
you gotta put time into it.
Yeah, if your
Absolutely.
friendship is just as important to you as your romantic relationship, then you need to court both.
Yeah.
And people find that really strange when I say that. And I said, that's because I don't love a lot of people. There are very few people I do love. Love.
I've got friends that I come out here once a month, and I just go through my phone and I just start calling at random, guys I've known 20 years, and just to keep that line of communication open,
I'm a fiercely loyal person. Like once someone
I've
has
seen it. She will just be like, "Try me, bitch!" Like she'll be in virtually nothing with heels on, like, "Try me, bitch!" Like
honestly, like when it comes to things like happening to me, I'll be like, okay, I guess that's just sort of the life I live. I guess bad things are going to happen to me. But the second that something bad happens to someone who I'm as loyal to as I am with her, I am like, okay, I'm taking off my heels so I can stab somebody with them, because fuck this, you deserve better. And just, there's so many times that I'm like fanning the flames of something, because I'm like, did this person slight you? How dare they? Do they not know who you are? Like,
and burlesque can be kind of tough sometimes. Like it can be a really kind of rocky road on occasion, where people will talk shit and not talk shit in a fun way, but talk shit.
And that just that honestly, it floors me. Like
it's the entertainment industry.
I can't imagine.
Like, let me tell you something.
Crazy to me.
The entertainment industry is a weird bird that occasionally will pluck out its own feathers, if that makes any sense. Like it really just becomes stupid after a while. And I have now, after being in it for almost 4 years now, and like after your third year, you go, okay, now I figured out a few things about.
You've learned how to navigate the waters a bit after your third year.
Yeah, you figure like, this person is my colleague, but not my friend. This person sucks. So if I ever have to deal with them, I just smile and move on. And these people are my friends that I can call at 3 a.m. and be like, hey, you got a couch? I'm coming through town. Brr, brr, brr. So I now have those 3 categories where these people are my colleagues.
Yeah.
These people are people loosely, and these people are my friends. So I very much try to navigate it the best way I can. Now, the people who are just suck, I try not to work with. It makes my life a hell of a lot easier. And some of the people that I don't want to work with, do have large followings and probably would bring a lot of bodies and money to the show.
But it ain't worth it.
They just
it
suck.
ain't fucking worth it.
You can be the most fabulous performer, and we've both seen it. You can be the most fabulous performer, fun, entertaining, glittery or bloody or whatever, and then you're backstage and you're a fucking dick.
You're just a crap person behind it.
Yeah, nobody wants you bringing down the vibe.
Yeah,
so it's just like, no, get the fuck out.
I've made a concerted effort over the last few months to really change the people that I interact with in some ways. Just the negative, constant bullshit, drama. All that. I don't need it. I just need it, man. I'm just trying to have a good vibe and surround myself with good, positive people.
I feel like in a lot of communities, there's always going to be some kind of ugly drama that comes up. It's kind of unavoidable. There's always going to be like just that person. You're kind of like, okay, I got to put on a brave face and just kind of do this. And
we've both been in shows where people we don't like.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we just have to go, all right.
And you just kind of
we call it fake Barbie.
Yes.
Like, hi.
But I mean, how much interaction do you guys really have?
Keep it to minimal.
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
There are some people where I'm like, I'm going to present myself in the most professional manner and be like, hi, how are you? You need some pasty tape? Here we go.
Like, we're going to be grown-ups.
And then there are some people where it's just the coldest shoulder I could offer. And it's like, I will be pleasant on stage if we have to be on stage together, but that is where it ends.
I will tell a funny story to kind of get this point across. This has nothing to do with a burlesque performer. It has to do with ex Adam. So she loves this story. She loves this story. So there's a boy that she dated for a little while, and that ended up ending pretty terribly because he ended up being a very terrible person, and he sucks. Which I always find stupid. I'm like, you have the chance to date a gorgeous, loving, sexy burlesque performer,
And you gonna fuck it up?
and yeah, you're gonna like they're on stage showing everybody the goods that the people in the audience don't ever get to touch, don't ever get to, and you get to go home and do all.
And they're bringing it home to you.
Yeah, like you're an
ungrateful
idiot.
prick.
You're an idiot. Like you're an idiot. So okay. So this is long after they broke up, and he displayed some pretty disturbing behaviors post breakup that I actually had to unfortunately witness. But this was a show that I went to support my burlesque daughter. She was in it, and I was very excited for her, so I went up to see it. And I was standing at the bar and getting a drink, and I feel this tap, tap, tap on my shoulder, and I turn around, and it's him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and so I don't
That's
say
not
anything.
good.
I don't say anything because I'm in a bar of that I respect. Like, I respect the bar owner. I'm not going to start shit in a bar that I actually want to come back to eventually.
Sure.
So I turn around and I stare at this person, and I just stare at him. I don't say anything. I'm the queen of just stare at you unblinking for like 2 minutes.
I can
so
see
good.
that.
I will just stare
I believe
at you.
that.
So I stared at him. Now, meanwhile, I'm in platform heels, and I'm like towering 2 inches over him. So
Yeah, she's like 6 foot in those heels. at
oh my
least.
god, 6'1". So I'm just staring at him, and I'm like literally not saying anything. And he's like, "So how are you?" Blah blah blah. He just starts talking like we're friends, like we text each other every day. And I looked right at him, and I got real close to his face, and I said, "I don't like you." And he stopped mid sentence, like, "What?" And
That should be enough.
I'm like, "I don't like you." And I got louder, and everyone next to me, there happened to be a producer, not the show's producer, but a producer next to me who we kind of have a weird relationship with. They're in kind of in the people column. So she was sitting next to me with her entourage of folks, and she heard me, and she was like watching, like waiting for me to pop off and do some nasty shit. And he just like, "What do you mean you don't?" I said, "I don't like you." And I turned around back to the bar, and that's the only thing I ever said to him was, "I don't like you," and that was it. And he just stood there like, he didn't know what to do with himself.
Yeah.
So I got my drink, and I walked past him back into the venue to sit down and watch the rest of the show. And he just kind of stood there like a child, like not knowing what the fuck to do with himself.
Because guys like that don't know how to respond.
But that
to
story,
a strong female.
I tell that story, not necessarily strong female.
And I swear my heart grows through 2 sizes every time you tell it.
right.
Just being confronted. And, I don't know. Guys like that, they're just cowards.
But it's not just guys like that. That's just an example of how I would treat someone that I don't like that's in my space, performer or not. I'm like, if I don't like you, you're going to know it. I'm gonna be as professional as I can if we're in a professional setting. If I'm in a show, if I'm doing my things, I'm gonna be professional. But if I don't like you, when the show is done, fuck all the way off.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to go eat with you. I don't want to hang out after hours. I don't want to do none of that shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Goodbye.
I mean, it's just like when you have someone that you don't like that you work with that like they're the next cubicle over, and you're just like, I really don't like this person for whatever reason. People don't always mesh well.
I know absolutely what you mean. Oh yeah.
And there's so many different walks of life. Like you never know what you're going to walk into, and it's just one of those things. Like while I'm on the clock, I have to.
Yeah.
Just put on a brave face and just do the thing I'm here to do. And then when I clock out, I'm beholden to no one.
Yeah.
So
it's the same, unfortunately, with burlesque shows. If we have to work with people we don't like, we're just like, okay.
yeah, pretty much.
I'm going to get a drink. So, yeah. But, yeah. So, I mean, and that goes for all performers. Like, sometimes we're in situations that we can't. Now, if it's a problematic producer, then that's the only time you will ever see all of us band together and just be like, no. Because if it's a problematic producer for a variety of reasons, then the train of the word of mouth will travel very, very fast.
Yeah, your reputation precedes you in our business.
I imagine that would be devastating. Very quickly.
If somebody came out and said, "This is what happened to me at blah 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 show," it would just destroy.
Yeah, and and it catches on like wildfire. Like,
so even the people we don't like and we don't like to talk to, if they said, "Hey, I'm telling you this because I know you work with this person, or hey, I know you know, are in the city with this person.
Yeah.
So blah blah blah. Even if I couldn't stand that person, I think they should, you know, jump off a cliff and not come back.
Damn.
Die in a car fire.
In the nicest way possible.
In the nicest way possible.
With a smile on your
But if they were to message me and say, hey, this is what's going on with Blit, then I would be like, oh shit, okay, let me back up here and make sure the next person knows it. So that is the only time you will see absolute unity, is if there's a problematic situation. And problematic can be anything from a sexual assault situation to a racist situation to a drug situation,
just an unsafe, like
unsafe
harboring an unsafe environment.
I just feel like you guys are very good at like looking out, and I know things happen, obviously, but I get the sense from talking with you guys and with Freddie and with Phoenix, and that it's such a tight-knit community. Like, I feel like you guys really look out for each other.
We don't put up with bullshit. Even if you know, if the
like
person,
anything that risks y'all, like you guys.
If
are
I'm
just
in
quick.
a show, even if I'm in a show with a person I don't like, and if they're being cornered by a drunken audience member, or they're in a situation that's really bad, I will be one of the ones to step up and go, you don't get to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back the fuck off.
Yeah.
Even if I can't stand that person.
Right.
Because nobody deserves to be in a situation like that, especially in our business where we're wearing very little and doing all kinds of things.
And we're around inebriated people.
Exactly.
You know, maybe their inhibitions are not quite where they should be, or maybe they're just already an asshole and the liquor makes them more of an asshole.
Maybe they just want some lasagna.
Yeah, I know.
You know what? At the end of that act, I offer the lasagna that I sit in to somebody in the audience. As far as like, I'm like, if you give me $50, you can eat what's on my butt,
do they take
and
it?
you can. No one's bought one so far.
Oh my god, I actually find that hard to believe.
You know what? I was pretty dismayed. I was like, this lasagna, it just, come on, somebody, no.
Now, if she had said $100 to like lick it off her butt, that might actually work.
I've offered that.
Have you really?
And no one's taken me up on it.
I feel like you really need to drive it home, though. I feel like you should really get somebody out there to sell that, and I think that
maybe that
it'll
should
happen.
be in my the notes before my act goes on, where it's like, just
there
so you know,
go.
people, after this act is done, yes, you can eat what is on her afterwards
for lots of money.
For X amount.
Yes, because we don't do that shit.
Her Venmo.
We don't do that shit. Yeah, we don't do that shit for free. Yeah, it's really crazy to think about doing this. But speaking of crazy, I brought notes.
Brought notes?
Because it's October. Like, we're here to talk about spooky, weird shit.
What kind of notes you got?
I did some digging, sir, and apparently you used to, or still do, run a thing called the Gainesville Paranormal Society.
That's true.
Dun, dun,
this is true.
dun.
Yep, Gainesville Paranormal. Had that for a few years. Me and Matt used to work on it together. That's how I was met Matt.
I was digging up ghost stories to spread about Gainesville tonight, and I found that. I went, I know this name. Why do I know this? This guy was a paranormal investigator. Get the fuck out.
Yeah,
Nice.
I actually was just as recent as like 3 months ago. Was you know, periodically we still go out and get calls, and I've got a lot of friends that have that I've made over the years doing it, and you know, they'll ask me to come out. And
I brought the 3 most noted ghost stories in Gainesville. You probably know 2 of them. One of them you probably would not know, but I know you know 2 of them.
No, lay it on me.
Okay. So the first story I have is about a bar that used to exist here called Market Street. And Market Street right now is... I know Market Street. Market Street is like... called Bricks now or some shit. I don't know. It's some bullshit frat bar. I don't fucking know. We all hate it. We just drive by it and stare at it with anger. Just like, we hate you all. Could you all leave?
Market Street, that's next to Lucy's.
Yes. And Market Street used to be a bar / venue, you know, blur. Well... Market Street has a ghost that's called Uncle Gary. And Uncle Gary used to pull all kinds of shenanigans inside the bar. Everything from lights going out to doors creaking to sound going wonky to... Let's see. There used to be an old dumbwaiter in Market Street, because Market Street originally like was a hotel or something, and there's a dumbwaiter that you can like haul food up to or haul whatever.
Yeah.
And so the dumbwaiter would just randomly start going up and down for no reason. So the performers, when we used to perform burlesque there back in the day, when Market Street was a venue for burlesque, and I pray to whatever god is actually existing on this planet to bring that back, because that would be amazing. We always used to tell Uncle Gary good night, and if you did not say good night to Uncle Gary when you came in the barn the next day to open it up, chaos. Like,
really?
The freezer would be flooding, or there would be smashed liquor bottles on the floor. The chairs would be upended. A light would have been left on. Like, it was havoc. So every single night after we would close down Market Street after a show, in particular, we'd have to say goodnight to Uncle Gary.
Wow.
Otherwise,
see, I've actually never heard about Uncle Gary.
The story goes, from what I understand, the story goes is that Uncle Gary was one of the original tenants of the hotel and passed away in the hotel, and his spirit has never left the building. So I'm told if you go upstairs a certain time of night, it gets really cold. That things move, that you hear voices, blah blah blah. But Uncle Gary's a very particular spirit who likes things the way he likes things, and he prefers manners. Like, you have to say good evening, Uncle Gary, when you open the bar, and you have to say good night, Uncle Gary, when you leave the bar. Burlesque shows also tended to hype him up a little bit. I guess it was just all the nakedness.
Justifiably so.
Yeah, so it's really funny. Phoenix used to joke about Uncle Gary all the time, and then shit would happen, and we're like, Uncle Gary be pissed off, y'all. Like, could you not? So that's one story I've always loved.
Yeah.
And
I want to say that I've heard about Market Street being haunted. The first show I ever played in Gainesville was at Market Street Pub way back when.
Yeah.
And I want to say I've heard about it, but
I had
not
never,
as in depth as what you're telling me.
I had never heard the actual name of the ghost, and so Uncle Gary was something that came out,
right?
During the time that I learned and then performed at Market Street.
That's wild.
As a performer, it's crazy.
Market Street's a great venue.
It's an amazing venue, and it could be amazing again, but
so much fun.
Yeah, that's the dream. Okay, so like my brain is just like, can I just get like $1 million to just sink into this? Yeah, buy Market Street, kick those idiots out, and just restore it to its glory, and we could just have our own venue again. Damn it. Anyway, okay, so then I'm sure being a paranormal investigator, about the ghost at the Hippodrome.
Again, I know that I read a story about it somewhere, but never heard much about it.
The story goes that the Hippodrome building stands on land that used to be a post office, courthouse, hanging square for the town of Gainesville.
Oh, wow. No, I hadn't heard it that far back.
Okay, so here's the story. Apparently, there is the ghost of a mother who haunts the basement and the hallways of the Hippodrome, calling out for her dead son, who apparently went on trial when it was a courthouse and was found guilty and hung in the same day. And that day she tried to make it to the courthouse with evidence proving his innocence and didn't make it.
She didn't make it.
Yeah. So she died of a broken heart, apparently, or whatever. And so you can feel her presence and hear her voice in some areas of the Hippodrome, particularly the basement, because the basement is where the jail was. And so she's down there looking for her son to free him. Yeah,
I'm a believer, man. I am 100%. I mean, I've had some interesting experiences doing it. And
I'm also told that certain hallways of the Hippodrome, if you stand there too long at night, if you're closing up the theater at night after a show or something, that you feel intense sadness, like you feel like you're going to fall down on the floor and start crying.
Right.
And I am told that's her. Yeah. Her sadness and her loss of her son infecting the living.
Oh. I had actually heard a little bit of that, not to that depth of detail, but I used to work for one of the local news stations in town, and one of our October stories we did about the Hippodrome being haunted and some other haunted locations, but I remember the Hippodrome.
Yeah, we don't have as many ghosts here as I would like. I mean, I want some more creepy ghost shit.
We really don't, for the age of some of the buildings here. And we lost the one over there that was the old Purple Porpoise.
Oh, yeah.
That was one.
That was one. I remember those stories.
It was a hotel.
Yep.
And the girl was murdered in the bathroom upstairs. Yep. I believe it was.
I've heard that story.
I used to play that when it was a club. When it was the blowhole inside the Purple Porpoise was the was the name of the club.
That's some history.
Yeah, and I knew, playing the club, we could go upstairs. They had a green room area where the girl was murdered and all that stuff. And I asked the bouncer about it one night, and this guy was huge, terrifying looking. He was just massive, and he said, "Yeah, you can go up there. I'm not going." He said, "It's scary. Have fun." I'm like, bro, you got to be kidding me. But it was a very heavy sort of vibe.
I like scary stuff, but she could tell you I could sometimes be the biggest baby.
Oh my God! Yeah. We went to Halloween Horror Nights 2 years ago.
She's gonna bring this shit up. I knew it. I'm gonna take a drink while she does this.
So she had never been to Halloween Horror Nights, and never. Prior to that year.
That year was the first year I missed in like 14.
That was the one where Stranger Things. I'm trying to remember the other big
Ghostbusters.
Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat, I remember that one.
They had a Ghostbusters thing there too.
That was last year.
They had an infected drive-in movie like zombie thing.
Yes, because the drive-in theater one was one our favorites. I remember. Yeah. So usually,
well, I guess I did go to that one. Anyway, sorry.
It was from 2 years ago, not last year.
Yeah.
Last year I went with my partner.
Last year we took off.
So when we went. She had never been. I don't think you'd been to a haunted thing before, really, like with haunted.
Not to that level. I've gone to haunts before, like haunted trails or whatever, but I never to that scale.
Yeah.
I was really excited to go.
Yeah.
So usually whenever I go to those things, as much as I love being scared, I'm usually too scared to be the first person. Like usually I'm like, no, someone else go first. Like I don't want to be the first person in the group. And this was one of the moments where that got reversed because she was like, absolutely not am I ever going first. No way, no how.
I was the biggest fucking baby.
My favorite moment, and I can't remember, it may have been the Stranger Things house or it may have been another one, but I was in front and she is hugging on me like a spider monkey. Like she is literally just arms around my chest.
I hate
Head
you.
is right here. And like we were both...
I hate her. We're divorcing. That's it. Divorce.
I know exactly what you're saying right now. I mean, 100%.
I did it last year to my partner when we went. So, and
my wife does the same thing.
And the thing is when they see that, the actors see that, they know who to go after.
She's a badass. My wife, she is. Make no mistake, she's a badass. Mm-hmm. But when you get her one of those haunted houses, she's holding on to me and pushing me forward. Well, what I do is I walk through and I go, get this one right here. No.
I was going to say, they usually don't have to point.
They pick it up every time, and I always thank them.
So what house was I?
So I want to say it was the Stranger Things house. It was one of the first one, maybe not the first one, but maybe like the second one we went in.
Okay.
And she's hugging behind me. There was a point where we saw something, we got scared, we screamed, and I kind of froze just for a second. She did not think I was going fast enough. So what she did is she basically kind of scooped my feet on top of her feet and just like walked us faster. And it was like that moment, like when you have like a little kid's feet on your feet and you're like dancing with them. It was that, but not consensual. I was just like, oh, we're going faster now.
I'm the biggest baby when it comes to that. Like I like horror movies, but jump scares just fuck me up.
Yeah.
So I'll even go to horror movies and be like, okay, it's coming. Oh my god! Like So I'm like, it's really weird. You can slice people open in front of me. I don't give a shit. But the minute it's like jump scare, I'm like.
The story I always love to tell is the first year my wife and I were together. We went and we're going through a house and it was very predictable. You know, this was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And
insert monster here.
And I was sort of like, oh, here it comes, and so we we walked out and we're just casually strolling. This is when they used to have characters everywhere, not just in little zones. Like they were all over the place. You never knew when something might jump out at you. And she says, when you point them out, it sort of takes some of the scare. And then I looked down and my hand was empty. And the scrunchie that she had in her hand was in my hand. And she was gone. And I look forward and she's like 20 feet ahead of me.
See, I'm always worried I'm going to punch those people.
I look to my right and there's one of those like double-decker on stilt scarecrow things that had appeared out of the trees and scared the piss out of her. She took off and bailed, and I was just like, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for helping me drive the point home.
I had that moment last year do you remember the haunted house that was about like the Yetis?
No.
All right. This one, it was probably
There were
more.
Yetis?
There was
What?
a Yeti house. Yeah, it was a house that was about
How are
like.
Yetis scary? Wait a minute.
Well, okay, and honestly, I think they were going for camp, but like they had such good surprises. Like,
okay.
it was not like based off of any IPs or anything.
I'll forgive it this, but I'm back here like Yetis.
So it's
What?
basically the story is like these guys went to a cabin to hunt down Yetis, and then the Yetis come and tear them to pieces, and that was pretty much
okay.
it.
I'm on board.
So
Okay.
I'd
so-
watch that.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we just started going in there, and what Halloween Horror Nights loves to do is they'll have someone like right here, and you're looking at them right there, but the scare happens here, on polar opposites. Basically, a little switch, bait and switch. Yeah. So they got me. I was looking at the thing that was right here, and then this Yeti just comes out, and it's like this loud roar and like this horrible sound. And my boyfriend's behind me. He had never been before. And as soon as that first scare happens, I just like an Edith-shaped cloud was just there, and I was gone. And he told me that the Yeti guy kind of looked at him and just kind of shrugs. And then when I finally realized, like, I went ahead, like, even past the next scare without him. And then I turn around, he's not there. And I see him, he's, like, looking at fine details of, like, the next scene. And I'm just like, what are you doing? And I, like, grab him by the wrist and I just, like, pull. And he's like, I just was looking at the details. I'm like, good, get out of here. And the thing is like, I'm having a good time with that. It's like part of the fun is the scare.
Yeah.
It's just also like that fight or flight kind of takes over, and it's like I can't even reason with myself. Like, of course, that's a costume person.
One of the coolest things that I ever saw them do was, I think, the first year they did a Walking Dead house.
Ooh, nice.
where you'd walk out and there was like a bunch of chain link fences, and there was just tons of walkers up against the chain link fences just pawing at you. It was so
Let me tell you something.
intense
If I could
and so real.
Yeah, if I could be on
crazy.
that creative team for 1 year of it, I would just lose my shit. Like,
Absolutely.
they're so smart, and they're
It's
so
amazing.
good about developing the way that the houses are done.
Yeah.
And the scares.
Oh
and
my God.
the props. But the same house, the Yeti house, there was, I want to say, like the third or fourth scare in, there's like this hunter guy who comes out, and he is sort of stumbling around. He's obviously like in the throes of dying, and this Yeti comes up behind him, and I don't know how they did it, but he reaches his arm through the guy.
Nice.
And I think later I kind of pieced together how they did it, but in the moment it's just like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting an arm through the chest of another guy.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like that, some of the shit they did, I was just like, this is money.
I
These
do
people
think-
have money. You know what I could do with this kind of money?
I think they got to start limiting it a little bit more, though. Like, not letting as many people in.
Oh, I know.
Because it used to be a lot cooler when it was not as many people.
Well,
and now
and
it's just packed.
Now you got to spend like double the ticket to get the fast pass. Because
I
when
know.
we went,
Yeah.
I was like, we cannot go. You saw how crowded it
Oh
was.
yeah, it was insane.
I was like, if we did not get the fast passes, like we would have only
Yeah.
made it to maybe 2 houses the whole night.
My buddy
Correct.
Joe and his wife, they go every year, and they start the second they can walk in the place. They just immediately go to a house and start going through them, going through them. They manage to pretty much get through everyone that they want to go through. But it's like work. It's like, man, I want to go and just
You're
have
exhausted.
a drink and relax, and I like take my time. I don't want to be
It was good,
racing
though,
from house
because
to house.
If we went through them quick enough, I was still spider monkeying her like every house, but it wasn't as intense in certain houses as it was in others because I was like into the story. I was like, oh, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool. Like that part.
I'm a fan of the classic one, like the Draculas, and then of course the cinema
They
classics
had
like
one
the Michael
we
Myers.
went that
I
was
love
like
those.
fairy tales. Like it was like fucked
I
up
remember
fairy
that
tales.
because
Yeah.
I remember we saw this woman who was she was like the Wicked Witch. And
Oh, yeah.
basically the
Fractured
story-
fairy tale.
Yes,
Yep,
yes,
yep.
really good.
I remember that
so,
one.
So right when we walked in, there was like a woman who was the witch, like on a harness, and she's just gliding over you, like
Yeah.
she's just, and we
Yeah.
both look up at her, and we're like, yes, bitch.
We're like, yes, queen.
How do
kill
you get
him!"
that job? Like
Yeah,
that's
right.
a cool job.
So I got one more ghost story here. All
Right
right,
on.
so apparently there's a whole mythos around the Devil's Millhopper.
Oh, that's just down the street.
Yeah.
You have my attention.
Okay,
It's my
so
backyard.
apparently the story about the Devil's Millhopper surrounds the first Americans who used to live in this area, the Native Americans who used to live in this area. And I forget what tribe it was. It begins with the T. Timuka? Timok? I'm
Shit.
going to murder it, so I'm not going to say the name because I'm going to mess it up.
Temecula or something.
Something like that.
Something
So
like that.
it's one of the tribes that used to occupy this territory.
Yeah.
Apparently the story goes that the devil himself used to walk the earth alongside humanity and fell in love with a very particular princess of a tribe, like the chief's daughter, and wanted her for his own. Like, it's very Hades Persephone kind of thing. And of course the chief was like, no, you're the devil. Absolutely not. You're not
the fuck not.
Yeah, like, I'll fuck around and find out. So the chief basically said, nah. So the devil got so mad that he couldn't have this woman that he stole her and pulled her to hell. And that's why there's this hole that is the devil's millhopper, because that's the hole that he pulled the princess down. And supposedly all they found of her was like some feathers and some bones and something, some kind of necklace or something. I didn't look up the entire story. I just got enough to kind of get the idea. But that's why it's called the devil's millhopper, because he is at the bottom.
That's a wild story.
Yeah, because he's at the bottom. If you go down far enough, you know,
I mean, when you really
can find the entry to hell. So I'm like,
Right.
Gainesville is basically sitting on a hell mouth, is what you're telling me. So that's probably why I'm here. Because
and when you it's crazy though too, because when you really think about it and you really rationalize it out, it's very easy to see where they may have come up with that. You know, I mean, maybe the sinkhole gave way, maybe that princess fell through and
you never know.
died, or maybe they found her down there. Like,
yeah, it's a really
how things are.
There's
pieced
another
together
ghost
like
in
that.
town,
Fascinating.
and I can't remember the ghost name, but it's a female ghost that exists at the Crosstown Repertory Theater.
Yeah,
off of
I've heard
Main.
about that.
Yeah, and she's a pissy bitch, man.
Really?
She likes things done. Like, she's even pissier than Uncle Gary. If you don't do things in a certain way in that theater, she will mess with your
I should have
lighting.
been hanging out with you. You got all the good stories.
Let me
What
tell
the
She
fuck?
does. She's a good
You
storyteller.
know where all the good
Thank
ghosts
you.
are.
I used to work at that theater a little bit as the costume mistress and also like on the crew.
Yeah.
And we, at the time that I was there, I was there about 3 years, like literally never left that theater dark, because the mythos in the theater community is that you always leave a light on. They call it the ghost light.
Yep.
You leave a light on for all the spirits in the theater. to
Gosh,
kinda like,
you know it's so funny. I 1,000% forgot all about the ghost light.
Yeah. So
I was the one
they
who
were
used to
nice
turn it
when
on.
there were nights where I was told to turn everything off.
That's so
blah
funny.
blah blah, and I'm like, okay, but she's gonna get mad. You're not believing me. And we come in the next day, and all the light settings that were set for the show destroyed, like down to zero. Like you have to start all over again. 2 costumes were missing. The back door was open. Like, it was just havoc, enough to be annoying. And so I would literally stand in the middle of the theater on this whatever stage was constructed and just say, knock it off.
Mm-hmm.
Stop okay, we'll leave the light on tonight, but you got to stop doing this. And literally 10 minutes later, after I'd say that, the lights would be fine and the door would shut, and everyone just would look at me like, bitch, who are you talking to? Like, what the fuck?
I got a funny. Well, it's not funny at all. It was a terrible ghost story, to be honest with you. Back in.
Are you gonna cry? Because that would make me happy.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. In my early 20s, I was probably 21, 22. I was spending the night at my girlfriend's house, and her and her roommates, for whatever reason, heard that their apartment was haunted. It was one of those, 4 bedrooms, each person has their own bedroom, bathroom kind of thing. And I was
Is there
sitting
a
there.
dude with a hook in this story?
No,
'Cause,
no.
okay, I'm like, I'm ready for that story.
Now, I was the only guy out of the 4 girls that were there. I was the only guy that was spending the night there with any regularity. And I said, guys, relax. Ghosts don't exist. And I believe ghosts exist, and I always have. But I thought, let me just calm everybody's fears here. Like, ghosts don't exist. Calm down. It's fine. Whatever you've heard, I'm sure there's a logical explanation for it. That night, sleeping, and I wake up with this excruciating pain in the side of my head. There's a shelf that I had placed, I put up above the bed, and there was a picture frame on the shelf. Luckily, I was sleeping on the side of my head. This picture frame slid off the shelf about an inch forward and spun down, and the corner of it hit me in the ear, filling my ear with blood all down the side of my face.
Good Lord.
Oh my god.
And I woke up in pain. My hand went to my ear. I see the blood. I'm like, what the fuck? God damn it. And I walk out there. I go, I believe in ghosts. Fuck off. And I went back to bed, and I never had another problem. But that picture frame, like you could see the dust where the frame was.
I believe in energy. I believe that there's energy in places that people don't really know origins of or that understand, and so sometimes you just have to play to the energy. And if you don't, things can go really fucking awry.
Yeah.
I've done the whole, I've done the Ouija boards and then the cemetery and all that shit when I was a kid because I always felt the darker side of things were always interesting to me. I was a weirdo from the fucking jump.
I mean, the same.
Yeah.
You're in good company. I think we all we've all subscribed to similar ideals in that regard.
But I do believe in respecting energy. If you sense an energy or you sense a presence in an area, then it's as the living, so to speak, you kind of have to figure out what the energy's there to do. Most energies, in my perspective, will respect the living as long as the living is respectful to them. Like if there's a respect to the what's going on, most of the time it's not going to be a thing. It's not going to be an issue. It's not going to be bullshit. But if you come in like ghosts are bullshit, la la la, and I'm just like, well, okay, don't say we didn't warn you.
Yeah,
that's bad news.
I've had some experiences that have definitely, and I'm definitely all into all the spooky things, and I want to believe in all the things. And there are some things from my childhood that I still to this day can't explain.
Yeah.
My very first best friend. First person that we were sleeping over at each other's house every other weekend. I think it was my second time. I'm in the first or second grade at this point. My second time sleeping over at her place. And suddenly she's telling me the story about these two boys who haunt her house. And they had, this is in Tampa, where I'm originally from. And I know they had a swimming pool. And they said that there were these two boys who at least a few decades prior had drowned in the pool. Just total accident. And the mother is even confirming this with her daughter. They're both saying sometimes we hear running up and down the stairs two boys or two people are racing up and down, or sometimes electronics turn off and on their own. And of course I'm a very impressionable young child, so I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna come and get me. and it might not have been that exact night, but definitely among the pattern of us sleeping over back and forth, one time I definitely saw things that to this day I'm like, I don't know how that happened. They had a stereo that whenever I knew the mother was waking up and making us breakfast, she always turned on the stereo. One day the stereo turned on and I was like, okay, so she's awake. And I go to get up, no one's out. And the parents slept upstairs and we were sleeping in the living room, which was downstairs. So I actually went up the stairs and would kind of check their door to see oh, maybe she came down and went right back up. They locked their door. And so the door was locked and I could hear that they were snoring. So I was just like, okay, that happened. And another time I heard the racing up and down the stairs. I'd woken up in a fright when I heard it because I was like, oh my God, is the house on fire? Someone's running. And like I said, we slept downstairs so you could hear it. And I definitely got up and was like, what is... Okay, no one's here. I'm the only one awake. I'm going to go back downstairs and hide.
Yeah. That's the weirdest part about investigating the paranormal is we all want to have those experiences. But when you have an experience of any sort, it's very oh shit. It really punches you in the gut,
You realize that there's other levels of existence other than your own. It's just holy fucking shit. Okay. The only time I've ever had an intense paranormal experience, honestly, is in St. Augustine. And St. Augustine,
they've got some great spots up there.
St. Augustine is one of the most haunted cities in America.
It's the oldest city in America.
Yeah, so they got some stuff. Next is Savannah. Savannah's pretty.
Savannah and St. Augustine, I feel are on a similar.
When the ghosts vacation, they go to St. Augustine. Yeah. When they're done, they go back to Savannah.
I've never been to Savannah, but
you need to go to Savannah.
Beautiful, and I also would love to investigate.
Look at my
New
face.
Orleans.
Go to Savannah.
Yeah.
There's actually there is a house in Savannah, and I don't know now that we're in COVID times, but when I went to college in Savannah, and there was actually a building.
Savannah College of Art and Design. Yeah, I had a friend of mine who went there.
Yeah, it was a good city. Definitely touristy. I enjoy it much more now that I'm no longer in college.
Yeah.
But there was a house that I actually lived between the house where the Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil is all about. I lived like 1 block away from that. I walked past it every day.
And tell me about the Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. What is that?
That one, it was a book that they turned into a movie, and it was about, for the life of me, I can't remember the guy who owned the home. Oh,
Jim something.
Mercer. It was, last name was Mercer. It was the Mercer house, and he basically, I want to say it was like 70s, 60s sometime. Not like too long ago, but long enough ago.
I should read this book.
Where
I've heard it.
It's very good.
It's very good. And so this guy who was rich beyond compare in the town of Savannah had this beautiful mansion. The mansion is still sitting there. And he had a love affair with somebody who worked around the house. And
nothing. I'm just looking forward.
Okay, sorry. I'm
waiting in anticipation. I'm like, tell the story.
So he has a love affair with someone of the same sex, and then turns into like this heated argument at one point, and the person who worked on the house gets murdered, and then there's this long trial, and Mercer is found, I guess, either innocent or basically he's not convicted of the murder, and then later he ends up dying in the exact same room that the guy was murdered in. And so and there is a story, like the legend. I've actually gone on a ghost tour of Savannah when I lived there.
I've gone on several ghost tours.
Those are fun.
They're so much fun.
Those are fun. I did one in St. Augustine.
Let me tell you, the ghost tours in Savannah kick ass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've been on ghost tours in St. Augustine. They're all right. Like if you get a good tour guide, it fucking rocks. But if you don't, it's like, okay.
The one that I did in Savannah was a ghost pub tour. So basically, because in Savannah it's open container law, so you can take a drink from one bar and walk to the next one.
Those people got it figured out,
right? And so, we were talking about the Mercer house, and we're standing in front of it, and I was taking pictures after pictures. They say that the story is that they are still fighting with each other still to this day. And when I was taking all these pictures, I saw these 2 orbs, and they're literally going in circles right in front of the room where both of them died.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Like,
I think it was in St. Augustine. There's a bar. I can't remember what it's called, but I was on a tour, ghost tour. It was a pretty good. It was actually a decent ghost tour. We got to ride around the hearse. It was great.
Oh, those are fun.
Those are so much fun. So we're in this bar, and apparently the haunted part of the bar is the woman's bathroom. And apparently the bar used to be some kind of halfway house or some kind of home for indigent folks. And this woman apparently died in the bathroom because her ex-lover came and killed her. So we go in the bathroom, with our little meters, because they do the whole meter thing where you could.
Awesome.
Oh my god, it was really well done.
I got those in there if you want to.
Don't tempt me.
Don't tempt me.
We will go around this house like, well, okay. So I was in the bathroom, and these other girls were with me, like, there's nothing here, and they started whining, and they left, and I'm standing there and I'm waiting because ghost. You have to be patient if you're gonna ghost hunt,
Yes.
So I'm sitting here and I'm waiting.
Don't be in a hurry.
And let me tell you something. The lights went out, and I felt cold on the back of my head and my neck and my back, and my meter went zzz, and I was like, I'm out. So boom, left the bathroom, ran downstairs to the dude I was seeing at the time, and I was like, we need to leave now. We need to leave. Look at my face. We need to leave. And he's like, God, are you all right? And the tour guide's like, showed up, didn't she? I was like, she was mad. I think she was pissed off at the girls who said there's nothing here and decided to take it out on me. And he's like, well, what happened? And I was like, the lights went up and it was cold. And all of a sudden I was a big baby. And he was just like, oh, yeah, mad. She's really mad. She would have locked the door. And I was like, oh, fuck that. No. Fuck you, no. So I think that was the last stop on the tour anyway. So I just grabbed the dude's hand. I'm like, let's get out of here because what the fuck? I pissed off ghosts following me. Like, I can't do this.
I used to like to take people out to this jail that I would investigate from time to time in Green Cove Springs.
Oh, okay.
And it's an awesome place. And I took some first-time investigators out there.
Nice.
And there's a maximum security wing in the jail. And when we had taped all the cords and all that stuff, all the cameras, apparently we didn't tape it securely enough. And pitch black, 2 a.m, and I'm up there in death row.
Oh God!
And I'm walking into one of the last cells on the very end, and there was a train tracks at the end of the jail, and so anytime cars would go over that track, it would project the headlights upwards.
Oh, nice.
And they would flash into the jail. And so this happened. At the same time, some of the tape gave way and made this weird ripping sound in the lights, and I feel something fall, and what the fuck? And I stepped backwards, and there's a block where the shower used to be, and I tripped and fell into the shower, and the people that came with me, the last thing I heard the girl scream was, "Oh God, no," and ran as fast as she could out of death row. And it was just because the lights from the train tracks, the tape ripped, the wire fell.
Sometimes it's just timed like
Just
that.
timed
Sometimes you're
perfectly.
like, did I just see what the fuck? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was terrible. Not one of my finer moments.
Well,
but
Devil's Night's supposed to be a really hopping night for spirits.
See, now
because it's the most playful night for them, other than actual Halloween on the 31st.
I was born in Flint, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
So Devil's Night in that area, Flint and Detroit, it's notorious because they set fire to the city every year up there. You know, it's crazy, and it's unlike any place I've ever seen. So yeah, Devil's Night has always held a special place in my heart.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of folks in Gainesville are missing the fest.
Yeah,
because Halloween weekend was usually the big punk rock festival, and there are a lot of broken hearts over that, and a bunch of other shit.
Yep.
So there's not a lot for adults to do that weekend. I mean, there's a few events that I've seen in town, but like not many. So if I can bring a little bit of, creepy, kooky joy to Gainesville on October 30th, Friday night, 9 p.m., Hardback Cafe, Devil's Night Dreams, hosted by Vita Devoid, featuring Edith Meowt, Devoros, Jador Lagore, Cara Monoxide, and Red Rum from Chicago. Red Rum from Chicago is actually broadcasting in for this show. Mm-hmm. She is her tagline is the Lon Chaney of burlesque. This woman,
I'm very intrigued.
You should look at her Instagram. She disappears into her characters. You cannot tell her face. Mm-hmm. Or
that's amazing.
She is next to a few folks I talked about last time I was with you guys. She is the epitome of horror burlesque. That's literally all she does is horror burlesque. Every single act is horror, and it's beautiful to look at, like stunningly put together, and I'm so fucking excited to see what she brings to the stage for us, because it was Halloween. October is her height. Like even now during COVID, she's like hella booked.
Yeah, well, October, this is like the beginning of what I like to call the like Super Bowl season for most burlesque, because it's not only just like Halloween kind of kicks us off into the holidays, and then like then we get
from now until Valentine's Day.
Yeah, from now until Valentine's Day, it's just like usually. I mean, January, I think there's kind of like a little bit of a dip, but not by much. And then Valentine's Day, then back into St. Patrick's Day. And
this is our usually our season where it's like back to back.
Usually every weekend,
is booked with shows doing all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. So
How far are we from getting back to that? Do you have any idea?
Oh my God, I'm not a scientist. I don't.
I mean, as far as like, have you talked to club owners?
As far as that, here's the thing: until there is a vaccine, I'm very the hardback reached out to me when I call him DeSantis, said open back up. Who gives a fuck? Whatever, save the economy. And I fervently said, I'm keeping the plan we have because I will. And he, I understand his desperation for bodies and money, and I'm not about to sit here and act all high above it because I want a venue to survive. But I would also like my performers to not.
I feel like a lot of club owners have taken that similar stance. Though.
Yeah, and it's hard. Like there's a few in town who have really tried to stick to mandates that are no longer in place to keep their employees safe, to keep performers or whoever coming in safe.
To keep attendees safe.
Yeah, because that's also opening yourself up to a fucking lawsuit. Like if somebody comes to one of your shows and gets fucking sick, then you got to, and you didn't take precautions,
right?
Or at least try to mandate precautions. Like if they take off their mask and they get sick, and you mandated precautions from the jump, then there's not a lot they can really say about that.
You have to at least try just a little bit.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I'm having a live show is because of the unique nature of the way the Hardback has set up their venue. Because I feel that that's okay, that that's safe enough. And, all my performers who are going to be there live and in person have the choice of either not performing or wearing a mask. Like if they came in with a face shield, I wouldn't say anything about it.
Yeah.
Because you know what? If you're doing what you need to do to feel safe.
Well, there's probably a good way of incorporating it into costumes and stuff
drag
like
queens
that
do it.
too,
The UC's opened back up and decided they're just going to do whatever they're going to do, and I understand that people have to work. We do have some full-time performers here in town who if they don't work, they don't eat, so I get it. But they wear face masks and they wear masks, and they do what they face shields. Excuse me. They do what they need to do.
Yeah.
To take care of themselves and to take care of the patrons who have been so loyal to come back.
Right.
I'm going for Sinister Sunday on Sunday to, like I said, to celebrate Jadora's birthday and to hand out flyers and be like woohoo show. I'm going to be wearing a mask the whole time.
Yeah.
And I will probably also wear gloves because I don't know what the level of anything is anywhere, and this is not just at the UC. It's everywhere. So in order to keep myself safe, I will keep to the process that I do when I go out, which I have a fairly strict decontamination process when I get home from work or when I get home from going out.
Yeah.
Like going out now is like a military strategy. It's like, okay, I know I'm going to do all this shit when I get home, so let me make sure I cram in all the stops I'm going to make before I walk back through that door and go out again, because I can only take so many showers.
Yeah.
Before my skin just goes, no. Yes, please.
Yeah, I just don't go
stop.
anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I go to the store and stuff like that. But,
hermiting is an option. I do hermit a lot more than you think. But for my job, I have to go. Like there's,
Well, that's why I have the porch. Because I just let people come here and hang out.
And it is lovely,
isn't it? Though?
It is lovely.
I love this.
This is really.
It's
nice.
a good vibe. We added the colored lights.
Yeah, I
the
like it a
dartboard.
lot. You guys
Gorgeous.
spruced it up.
We're
out
jazzing
here.
it up a little bit, little by little, little by little.
So I don't know what's going to happen in the future. After this show, Purple Nightshade kind of goes. We go back in the crypt, as I say, and I just kind of stop.
Yeah.
Because I usually what's happening a typical year would be I'm doing this and I'm gigging and like I'm out of town on the weekends doing things and promoting this show or promoting the show I'm in or brr, 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 brr. So by the time October comes, I'm literally exhausted. Like I'm so exhausted I don't know I'm exhausted.
Yeah, usually August and September are like this sort of like I think usually you and I follow very similar. We tend to apply for the same shows, or like if I see something I'll be like, hey, have you seen this?
And we get hella excited if we both get booked for it.
Yeah.
We're like road trip.
I mean, I've also gone on trips with you where you're just booked and I'm like, I just want to get out of town and like meet people and stuff.
Yeah.
And so usually our busiest months usually tend to be May, August, and then like a little bit September leading into October.
August can be insane. I remember one August where I was never fucking home.
Yep.
Like Monday through Thursday I was working, and then Friday through Sunday was gone.
Yep.
I was in North Carolina. I was in Savannah. I was in
last year we were in North Carolina twice, two different cities, one weekend apart from each other.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
It was happy nuts.
Yeah.
It was so much fun, but it's insanity.
Yeah, it's like a happy exhaustion.
Yes. And so usually by the time I would hit October and I would be like, woohoo, Halloween, woohoo this, woohoo that. By the time our Halloween show came, which is like our zenith show, this is where we gained the most power is fucking Halloween.
Right.
After that, I'd be like, no one talked to me for like 3 weeks. I don't want to talk burlesque. I don't want to talk to you. You're in a show? Awesome. Like, I would just become the most docile person. Like, I don't care. It's because I want to sleep. But now that the show is, it's going to be good and tickets are selling and we're really excited. I had another interview today. I had an interview this morning with the Alligator, which was really awesome. They're going to actually interview my performers because they're very excited that anybody's doing anything for Halloween.
Yeah.
So, and we're happy to provide that kind of entertainment. But yeah, I'm probably going to be like, okay, I'm a woo-saw for about a week.
Time to relax a little bit.
Let me just
rejuvenate.
All right. And then think about what I'm going to do with Purple Nightshade for the next season. Because I have a very odd way of casting. It's 50-50. 50% is usually precast.
Yeah.
And the way I precast is, like I said, I have 3 people that I consider to be headliners because every time I book them, people flock.
Right.
And, whatever. So what I do is once our season is developed, like once we develop the 4 or 5 shows we're going to do that year, I usually quietly email or quietly message those 3 first and say, here's our roster for the next year. Are there any themes that appeal to you? And they'll go through it and be like, I like this one, I like this one, I like this one. And I'll put their names down on those shows. So when it's time to book those shows and I get the dates, I'll be like, hey, remember you said you want to do this show? Here's the date. Here's the place. Are you still interested?
So you come up with a theme for the show.
Yes.
And then you reach out to
The
performers
best way to
fill
handle
that. Okay.
doing horror year round is to sit down after Halloween is over. It's usually like the first week of November, after I sleep for about 4 days. And Freddie and I will sit down and go, okay, what ideas do we have for next year? What are we keeping? What are we ditching? We're going to bring something back? Like, blah, blah, blah. So, for example,
do you do any shows in like December, like Christmas themed, like horror?
I was gonna
Krampus,
do.
all that stuff is a big thing nowadays.
I don't. Here's the thing. I like Christmas. I enjoy Christmas. I put up a Yule tree and do all that things.
Yeah.
I like Christmas for the energy it brings and the cutesy going to see lights shit and cold and all that. But it's not my jam.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity to do a holiday show with a horror theme, and I have one in mind, but I haven't really taken that step yet because I'm in such a hibernate mode. Mm-hmm. Like, she's just like, Christmas!
Yeah. I mean, I like, honestly, I like just about every single holiday because it's just like, it's an excuse to be silly for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's usually like booking holiday shows and doing all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, woo, yay. Or we plan to go to shows together that are holiday theme or whatever.
Oh, but so they do have them then.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah. Are you kidding me? Yes. There's so many holiday shows that pop off. And then, of course, New Year's Eve is like big shit.
Yeah.
Like, hiring a performer for New Year's Eve is like classy or whatever the fuck. So there's all kinds of stuff that happens, and this depends on what you want to do or what you want to be a part of, or who you want to pitch to. But I'm usually like, I don't want to do another show. Like I'm usually like with Freddie, I'm like, I don't want to. I have an idea for a show, and he just looks at me like, I think it was last year. I was like, hey, I think in December I want to do, and he just looked right at me. He was like, no.
He does seem to keep you grounded a little bit.
Let me tell you something. He and her partner's the same. Like, because occasionally we'll just be on like, I want to make an act about blah, 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 and I'm going to build this and add this to it, and I need to go get like all these rhinestones. I need to go.
We have to have someone that's like.
And then they're just like, look at my face. We have to have
like,
lights.
No. How do you think that's going to happen? I don't think it's going to
You
happen.
have 48 hours. What are you even talking about? I'm like, 48 hours. Whatever.
It's
you
like,
don't know
it's
me.
fine. I just don't have to sleep or eat or shower, and then I'll get this done.
That's it.
Like
That's it.
Freddie has come into the costume room and literally taken scissors out of my hand and like picked me up, and he's like, "Go to sleep.
Yeah.
Please to sleep. I understand this needs to be done, but you will not finish it correctly if you don't sleep. Or please stop talking to these people. It's like X amount, blah.
The passion of artistry, man.
Yeah,
you have
to
a
be
motivating
you have
force.
to be a special
absolutely.
personality to date a performer full time.
Absolutely. I'm the type where I don't want to stop working on something until it's done.
Yeah.
Like
she's
honestly,
like focused.
Honestly, it's almost like an addiction.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not addicted to anything in this world, but I am addicted to, like, I started this thing. I don't want to stop until it is done.
I'm the same way. When my wife and I got together, she knew that I work with tools and woodwork and build stuff and all that jazz. Her dad, very much the same thing. When she was a kid, and we'd always joke. There's out at her mom's house. There's these posts that he put up. They're just posts. They're attached to nothing. So we tease about unfinished projects and stuff like that. So when we got together, she was like, "Oh shit, this guy's gonna be just like my father." So she's thrilled that I'm very much the same way. When I start a project, it's like, "Oh no, I got to build this fucking toy box."
I don't get like that. I work in shifts.
Yeah,
like I'm
that's the smart thing to do.
But
that's the reasonable thing to do. Do you see me? I don't have reason.
So here's the thing: like, she'll walk through the haunted house with jump scares and be like, "Oh, okay, that's scary," and I was like, But I'm just like, okay, let's reasonably figure out a costume. And she's like, 4 a.m, I need more stones. Do you have more purple? I'm like, it's 4 a.m.
Yes, but I need rhinestones now.
You have another 3 days. Now this is the time I have. Okay. Put the wax pencil down.
So now is there any websites or anything that people can go to for more information?
Yeah,
Tell me all about that.
www.purplenightshadeproductions.com. Purple Nightshade's all one word, lowercase.
And on Facebook?
On Facebook, Purple Nightshade Productions. On Instagram, Purple Nightshade Productions, or Purple Nightshade 2017 is our tag. So feel free to go. Our Twitter, I figured out what our Twitter is. It's really strange. Like, I have been using some of this down pandemic time to like work on social media.
And somehow you figured out Twitter.
I don't know what the fuck I did to figure out Twitter.
I just hashtag the shit out of everything.
It's not even. It's not even. Like, I don't.
Is there more to it?
I don't hashtag every post. Here's the thing. Every tweet is not hashtagged.
Right.
I'm a nerd, so I will take a class on how to do something. So I actually took a class on how to manage basics of Twitter, especially if you're a company looking to market yourself. There's a very specific way you got to manage Twitter rather than just being a user who just
sounds
talks
like I got
shit.
to take this class.
Let me tell you, I went from having 87 followers to like 400 in 2 weeks. I said, son of a bitch, what am I doing right?
And you did it like all naturally too. Like you didn't do anything like there's some people where they'll kind of have like things where you like posts or whatever, like ever liker for Instagram and stuff like that. You just naturally got those people.
I don't know how the fuck I did it, but I did it, and I'm still doing it because some of our online ticket sales have come from Twitter.
Right.
Like, I figured that out, and I was like, oh shit, let me just keep posting shit. So I'm happy about that, and I wanted to keep growing, and I'd love to get to 1,000 followers on Twitter, and just start being retweeted by people, which we are now starting to be retweeted by people. Here's the other thing, and I'm going to pump her up again. Usually if I post a picture of her in one of her like costumes, it's like there's a particular picture I'm using right now. It's a beautiful picture taken by Justin Drain Photography in Jacksonville with the spider one where you're the red wig and you were like the witch who was doing the thing. And it's a glorious picture, and it's extremely flattering. And I put it up on Twitter, and it was like retweeted like 7 times already. I was just like, "Holy shit!" Okay,
am I getting popular on Twitter and I'm not even on there?
Right? Like,
you might want to make an account.
Who
Edith.
are you people?
Like, seriously, you probably need to make an account.
You're gonna be Twitter famous before you're even on Twitter. That's incredible.
I mean, So it's really cool to watch something I learned actually work.
Yeah.
Which is also the way I am about costuming. I'm like, so when I build the Firefly butt, if it works, I'm going to be so fucking happy and be like, it worked. Look, everybody, it worked. So shit like that. Like, awesome. I make lists. I'm like, okay, here are the 5 things you need to get done, then you can sleep. So I will chug my way through the 5 things and then go to sleep and then get up and do the next 5 things. And I try to do that because if I don't, I will obsess over one thing on the list and never get to the other 4, and that's my problem. Like, I will be like, no, let's finish this one thing. You are not allowed to put this down until and it just becomes stupid. So I also hate rhinestoning, so that's like the last thing on the list. It's like, rhinestone one thing today because I fucking hate it.
See, and I love it.
See, yeah, she would just sit there and rhinestone in her fucking sleep if she could manage it.
God, if I could, if there was a second one of me.
Oh my God, if you had a clone, I don't know what to do with myself.
I would start bedazzling like just everything in my house. My dog would be bedazzled. I'd be like, oh, here comes Chopper, and he's just
glitter.
bling.
Yeah. Edith, do you have anything you want to shout out and let people know where to find you?
Yeah, I have an Instagram. It's at Edith Meowt. I also have a Facebook fan page that you can follow me on there. I tend to share most of my shows on both of those. I also have a TikTok, but I haven't quite been as on it since.
Yeah, same here. I got one video. Working on it.
I think like when they were talking about banning it, I kind of started divorcing my love for it just a little bit. I was just like, it's gonna be gone soon, and then it hasn't gone anywhere. So now I just go on there and I just like a bunch of stupid things.
Well, I have recently come across some videos. They're like TikTok like kink section and weird stuff like that. So I mean, you might need to find your way on there.
TikTok has become kind of a nice cross section of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
It's been a really interesting way to entertain. Like, I actually have an account on TikTok as Delicate Flower.
Yeah.
I post nothing.
Yeah.
Because of one very stupid ass reason that I get told is stupid ass by Freddie and by her and by a bunch of other people. I'm like, nobody wants to see my old ass on TikTok doing what the fuck.
I call
bullshit.
She's one of the most fascinating people I've ever met. So
I don't sit and just fucking just talk with people for hours on end and just like I have had a lot of fun hanging out with you and talking to you and getting to know you a little bit. We've had.
There are times that I just get so entranced with what she's saying that I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to contribute to a conversation.
Yeah.
Like I just let her run wild.
Well, we're
okay. Maybe I won't divorce you tonight. But if you put on the goddamn Jar Jar Binks mask, I'm out of here.
That's where we're going to put it down. Get over there at Purple Nightshade Productions .com. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and let us know how we're doing. Subscribe, and remember to email us any inquiries at porchmail@porchvillepod.com. And Edith, Della,
yes.
Thank you.
Very, very,
You're amazing, as
thank
always.
you so much for coming out. I've had such a blast talking to you.
Hell
I hope you do it again. October 30th, Hardback Cafe, 9 p.m. Get out there. We'll see you soon. Bye.
You push me into the deep. I'll never see you again.
We did. I was like, damn.
She's brought something for you.
I did. I brought